Tantrums. We don't love them, but they're a part of life for a lot of us. And today we're going to talk about what the research, not just random people, but what the research says that you can do to help make them less of an issue. Let's get into the video. I am an alum of the University of Virginia, proud to be one. I was thrilled when I got my magazine and I saw that one of the articles was on the science of parenting. And so there are these experts at my school, and they did research in their respective fields, everywhere from psychology to child development to education, looking at how to help young children thrive, how to equip them better. Tantrums. What to do about tantrums? This clinical psychologist, who's also a professor of the pediatrics department at the School of Medicine at UVA, she talked about a couple things about how to prevent them and how to deal with them once they've started. I won't deal with the what to do once they've started, but I do love the prevention piece because the other field that I'm trained in is in preventive medicine, and so I love to prevent a thing more than to have to treat it. And so tantrums were not, full disclosure, tantrums were not a thing in my with my three kids. I do think part of tantrums, I think, have to do with personality and temperament. Temperament, as much as environment. But what she does talk about are the fact that they're normal to a degree. If they're, within less than 10 minutes, that's considered normal. When you start see a child having a tantrum that's like 25 minutes and there's like violence or things associated with it, then you need to seek out some professional help about that. If you're enjoying the content, this would be a great time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Okay, let's get back to the video. They're normal, and of course, they happen at the most inopportune times. We don't love it, but there are ways to make them less likely, and I think that's a great thing to talk about. I will first start out with what she suggests, which is praising children for specific positive behavior. Um, because tantrums tend to happen because this little 3-4 year old is angry. um, they're uncomfortable, they've been overstimulated, they're at their wits end, they don't know what to do, and because they're only 3 or 4 and only have but so much agency, they are just having a meltdown. Okay, so as much as you can be referring and pointing out the things that they are doing well, what she's saying the research has shown is that they're more likely to be positive because you're emphasizing what's positive. Um, Another way she's saying to make tantrums less likely is to give instructions that are singular rather than compound. So not just saying like multiple things to do, because they can't hold on to all of those things um, at one time, but one at a time. So if we're doing the cleanup, then it's okay, put away the cars, or it's, whatever, break up the task into more manageable bites where you're just giving a singular instruction, and then they're not having to try to process too many things, and now they're overstimulated and more likely to have a tantrum. And then the other thing she said, which kind of relates to the first thing, is spending 5 minutes a day of really focused, warm, fuzzy, positive time between you and your child. So, you might have just done the positive comment here and there about what they're doing, but actually sitting with them and maybe a recap of the day and talking about the great things that they did during the day that day. All of that, all of that is great.
Hey there, just interrupting your video to let you know about something else you'll probably be interested in. Because as a mom, you know that there is no such thing as a lot of free time. You are moving nonstop from the time you get up to the time your head hits the pillow. And if you're like me, you can use some hacks to help you do what you do a whole lot easier in a lot less time. So if you look in the description below, you'll find the link to 15 hacks that I'm happy to share with you that will get you your time and your sanity back. Okay, let's get back to the video.
I will add probably two more things. One for sure, maybe two. The first thing I will add is managing expectations. Because even at the age of 3 and 4, there are things that a child that age thinks or wants when they get to a certain place, or they've associated a certain location with certain goodies, or what have you, and they want that when they go there. And once you tell them that's where we're going, that's what they think of, and that is what they are banking on having. And when they are disappointed, and that disappointment is overwhelming to them, they are more likely to have a tantrum. And so, one of the things, even though my children didn't have tantrums, one thing I did do, um, and I guess that was my attempt to prevent the likelihood of tantrums, especially in the store, because we know that's where they love to throw one, is in the store, is I set up the expectations before we went to the store. And I spoke to them and I would let them know we're going to the store. And this is what mommy is going to buy. I'm going to buy the groceries. I'm going to buy things for us to eat. And I am not going to buy toys. And I am not going. So when we go down, the aisle, and if you see a toy, mommy's not buying toys today. What is mommy buying? And then they would tell me what I'm buying. And it's what is mommy not buying? Mommy is not buying toys. Now, that doesn't mean that when you're in the store and they see the toy, that they won't still ask you about the toy. What it does mean is that when they ask, you can refer to the conversation had earlier and say, remember what mommy said? Mommy said I wasn't going to be buying a toy today. Remember that? And then they're like, yeah, okay, so not today. And having those conversations, because you know your child well enough at this point to know what things they really like and what things they're probably going to ask for and how they will respond if they don't get said thing. We kind of have an idea, and so you can get ahead of that by speaking to it in advance. And I think the takeaway that, as we're going through these five, that is the best thing to come away with is, we have a tendency to think that because our children are young, that they're simple and that they can't understand concepts. They can't understand complex concepts, but they can understand and get the gist of something. You just make it simple. And so you can have the conversation in advance and say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're not going to do. Or if you want to use the toy as an incentive for them to behave well, if that's your challenge, if you have a strong willed child, and maybe that's how you want to manage that, and you want to say, hey, we're going to the store, and mommy will decide at the end, if you have, listened to what mommy told you, and whatever your stipulations are, then mommy will decide, or mommy will get you blah blah blah. So now they understand how they can have the thing they want. It's all about communication. It's all about communication at their level. And I think what this research is showing is that they can understand more than we probably thought, but it still needs to be presented in a way that they can receive it and hold on to it, because they can only hang on to so much at a time, and it can't be like real complex. But it doesn't mean that we just should ignore it altogether and sort of just go to the store with our fingers crossed and hope they don't have a tantrum. No, you can have the conversation with them in advance that sets them up to be successful, that helps them to regulate themselves because they have been given information. It's not foolproof, but it's a step that you can refer to should they have difficulty navigating their emotions at the time. If you're enjoying the content, this would be a great time to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Okay, let's get back to the video. I said I had another one that I wanted to add in this category, and it would be uh, structured environment. I would add that. I've seen that other places in conversation, and that has been my personal experience. Um, have a structured environment. Now, I'm not talking about being a controlling person. I mean, but having structure, that there are times that we do this, there are times that we do that, as opposed to like a free range, I just sort of do whatever. Because that sort of I can do whatever I want actually feels unsafe to children, that they can do whatever they want without anyone really interfering or giving parameters, or there being a consequence when those parameters are crossed. That is actually overwhelming and can be very overstimulating. That nobody's going to stop this train. I can just keep going and going and doing whatever I want to do in full steam, and nobody's going to stop this. That's very, and I have to be the one to stop it. That's overstimulating, and it's inappropriate to expect of a child. And so, um, the having structure, um, standards. We do this time. put this back there, that sort of rhythm and routine where they just know that there are just certain, we just do certain things a certain way, even at that young age, is comforting. My children are age 21 to 15, and they still refer to things that we did as routine. They still refer to them as a fond memory because it was a comfort that there's a rhythm here. We're not just willy nilly doing whatever. We're a family and we have a system, and the system is not oppressive to us. It's actually comforting. There's rhyme and reason to what's happening here, and there's a safety in that that will avoid some of the overstimulation that may lead to a temper tantrum. I offer you that. If that research on tantrums was right up your alley, I hope you'll join me next week when we'll talk about another strategy that actually piggybacks on this one and will make the things you learned about preventing tantrums even more effective. So come back and join me next time. And hey, remember, we're just doing this one day at a time. We're doing the best we can. The thing is for you to keep showing up. I don't need you to show out, just show up and shine. And until next time, please remember, when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you are the woman for the job. Keep doing a great one. See you next time. Take care.